From wildfire smoke to pollen, summer conditions can cause issues for many people. Naturopathic Doctor Jacqui Fleury is here, and she tells us it can be more intense in midlife. Good morning.
Good morning, Trillian.
Thanks so much for being here. And just to start out, why is it that these summer conditions could be more difficult for people in midlife?
Well, first of all, the summer conditions have been a bit more intense for us this summer between the wildfire smoke and then dust, and we're gearing up for harvest and there are people cutting grass, so there's all sorts of environmental triggers. And for women going through perimenopause and menopause, often they may notice that things that never used to bother them start to bother them, so they notice their overall reactivity increasing. And this is not uncommon, and again, it could be blamed on their hormones. Well, everything else gets blamed on their hormones during menopause, but there are often underlying factors that could be contributing to that increased reactivity for them.
And like you mentioned, hormones, and there could be some other underlying conditions or underlying reasons. What are those reasons?
Well, if you think about your immune system, 70% of your immune system is in your gut. So when we go through perimenopause and menopause, there's a renovation or a reorganization that happens in our digestive tracts. And so menopause is often an amplification of some imbalances that may have been going on in your gut prior to going through these hormone changes. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is that by nature we become a bit more inflamed during menopause. So understanding, again, what are some of those drivers of inflammation, and yes, drops in estrogen can be one of those drivers. But for example, understanding your inflammation from the perspective of your omega-6 to 3 ratio, which is just a quick blood spot test, and then making sure that you're doing those things that take care of your digestive tract. So for example, if there were two tests that I would suggest, it would be food sensitivity testing and understanding your omega-6 to 3 ratio. Those are both proxies for immune system and inflammation.
And then tell us about inflammation as well as gut health and kind of how this all ties into it.
I mean, it's a great question. So 70% of your immune system is found in your gut, as well as a lot of your hormones are regulated in your digestive tract. So for example, 90% of your feel-good hormones are produced in your gut. So if you're not sleeping because your gut is out of balance, then that can be a contributor to inflammation, and that could be a contributor to your immune system being more reactive, which therefore could cause you to be more allergic, for example.
And I'd love to talk about some ways we can make ourselves feel better. And I know you brought some items here today. I would love it if you just talked about them.
Well, I'm always a big fan of gut health as it relates to weeding your garden. I always talk about your gut as a garden. So making sure that you have a healthy balance of the good versus the bad guys in your gut. So things like the sludge, a really good probiotic. Bumping your antioxidants up a little bit with things like vitamin C, and then of course understanding how well are you absorbing your supplements and your nutrients, which is where doing something like a blood spot test to learn about your omega-6 to 3 ratio is a really, it's so basic and it's so foundational to everything else working that much better. So those are really two easy strategies, very affordable strategies, and that can gain you a lot of information.
And are there any reasons you might not absorb some of those nutrients as well, and what can you do about that?
Well, absorption happens at the level of your gut, but more foundationally, it happens at the level of your cell membrane. So if you don't have enough omega-3s in your cell membranes, you won't be absorbing some of those really great vitamins and minerals and nutrients that you're consuming in your diet. So it's a really important starting point.
Okay, some really great information here. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thanks for having me.